Welcome to part 8 of my God of War 2018 Give Me God of War Hardest Mode tutorial. This is a hard encounter. This took me around 27 minutes. You'll see I took out the first guy immediately up on the cliff with a few axe throws and some arrows. Then I went and took out a second guy up on the top of the cliff. So I'd recommend taking out those two guys first. Then I go in this little small area over here so that I can try to isolate these ground worms, because these ground worms are a huge pain in the ass. So my strategy was to take care of them first before focusing on the other guys directly. And yeah, so when I'm able to, I'll use a R2 strike on them to get them in the air. Usually after they come out of the ground, I'll dodge their first attack immediately, then hit R2. And while they're in the air, I'll hit them a few times at R1, and I'll just repeat that. Because if you keep them in the air and hit them, you can get in a lot of hits. But here I just used my rage mode because I wanted to try to take out that guy as fast as possible. So while I'm in this little alcove over here, I do throw my axes at the other guys in the distance to try to thin them out. Because, you know, the less of them you have shooting you while you're in here, the better. You do get some cover from that tree and the rocks, but, you know, you still have guys that come out around the edge and throw shit at you. And it almost gets me killed in a moment, so you'll see it's still dangerous. But now, while I have some time before the second serpent appears, there's only 2 serpents, so before the second one appears, I use that time to take out some of these assholes behind the tree, and I use that edge for cover. But then once the serpent does appear, it's going to get a little fucking crazy in here, and I'm going to end up getting the fuck out and going back to a more open area to deal with the rest of the enemies. But, you know, initially I found it works well to go in here to deal with the serpents. It'll give you some breathing room to deal with them, because they're the main threat in this fight. Once you get rid of them, the regular enemies are not hard. You know, it's nothing abnormal from what you've been dealing with. But the serpents are a new enemy, and they're a pain in the ass. So see, I get them airborne with the R2 heavy attack, and then I use R1. See, but now one fireball took me out completely, so it's very dangerous. So I use my resurrection stone here. And you can use your resurrection stone here. Don't worry about that, because you can just buy another one from the blacksmith that's in this area. So don't worry about saving it up for the next encounters. It's, you know, completely safe to use it here. So now, yeah, so now I said, fuck that. It got a little crowded in there. So, you know, I said, well, I'll just go back to the open area and deal with them out here. So again, I still keep my focus on dealing with this guy first. I want to make sure I kill these guys as fast as possible. So now that they're dead, now all you got to do is take out a few of these stragglers, and it's, you know, these ones have more health than the regular ones, but yeah, it's not hard. You'll have no problem with this throwing your axe, and you know, you've dealt with plenty of these kinds of guys before. But yeah, with that strategy, you can make things a lot more manageable. Instead of trying to fight everything in the open at the same time and having guys throwing fireballs down at you, plus throwing fireballs at you. And, you know, 2 serpents sometimes at once will come out. It can get crazy if you try to fight everything in the open. I've had 2 serpents and all the enemies on me at once. So it gets really fucking dangerous. So, you know, I'd recommend doing things in that order. And, you know, improvise as needed, but I think that'll give you a good general way to deal with this area. It was tough. It took me around 27 minutes, so I got a little creative with more of a plan, you know, to break it down. And now I'll show how to get another one of these special items. And I'm also just going to show, I figured for the fuck of it, there's a lot of items to get in this general area, so I figured I'd just show, I'd show several of the items. I'd pretty much show, I think, all the items that I picked up in this area. Normally I would only show like the apple or the horn items that extend your rage and health bars, but I figured I'd show a little bit more here, since it's all together pretty much. So, you know, it made sense just to leave it in, because some of them are a little tricky to get. You may not know how to get them, but it's just a matter of matching the symbols on the chest. You have to get the same symbols on the rotating spinning thing, so just match up those symbols. You know, just get the same symbols to appear on those rotating things that you throw your axe at as the ones that are on the chest, and then you can go back and open it. and you'll see where they're at. You'll see where I go to find them all. there's one in with all this toxic gas, and you just have to, you have to disable that if you want to see what the symbol is. So you can just hit it and then, take your axe back, throw it again, and just keep checking to see what symbol it's on, and just match it with the one that you don't have yet. For this one, there's one of those things around the corner that you can disable that gas and get the chest. I didn't know that, so I was still just kind of fucking around trying to figure out what I had to do to get it. I tried to run in and see if I could just grab it real fast, but you can't do that. I don't think so. Just deactivate it right there. And yeah, the only other combat in this video is going to be against a single remnant enemy, or revenant, I think they're called. I'm not sure, but it's a floating enemy that you've dealt with before. So, I didn't find any of these armors that I got in this area to be useful at all, but they're still good to get because you can sell them, and you can always use more money, so it doesn't hurt. But I wasn't going to equip any of them. I didn't find them to be too good. I like the Boar's gear that I have now because I was going for offense over defense. And you get another one of the horns for your rage meter. But yeah, so far I've been going for offense, higher strength and attack over my defense, which maybe I'll end up regretting that later. But for now, that's the way I've been going. I'm usually more offensive. I don't hang back a lot in these games, though I have been with the axe throws, but you don't really get hit when you do that anyway against the easier enemies that you can throw the axe on. So you might as well have more strength and take them out faster. But I may keep several sets of gear so I can switch them out for different encounters. I may try doing stuff like that later. But for now, I've been managing. And now to get rid of this gas, you go around the corner and there's a thing that you'll see around the corner. You can disable it. But yeah, there's only going to be one of those floating enemies, and all I'm going to be doing is throwing the axe at it pretty much, and using the arrows to stun it. The same thing I did with the first one that appeared, so you can safely skip the rest of the video if you don't want to waste your time watching that. It's a few minutes of just tedious, axe throwing. Nothing exciting, worth watching. But I'll keep the commentary going for the full videos. I haven't really been doing any side shit yet or exploring. I've just been going straight to the main content. But, I'm going to consider it as things get harder. For the next encounter, I recommend, after this guy, for the next main encounter, it's going to be against a giant. Well, a smaller giant, but he's fast, and he has a bunch of helpers. It's in a snow area. And I'd suggest not destroying those explosive barrels when you get there, because you could actually use them for the fight. So just leave them alone until after you kill the giant. If you did accidentally destroy all the explosive barrels, like I did, because I didn't know there was going to be a fight in that area, you can reload your save, either your most recent save or the one before that, and you should have it. The game should auto save to when you're in the area with the barrels, and there won't be any enemies. It'll be after you destroy those wolves and the small enemies, and you'll get your checkpoint back with all the explosive barrels intact, and you can use them all against the ogre and the enemies. I'll probably explain that again in the next video, because that's the video that's going to show that fight. But just as a precaution, if you go ahead of this video, just remember to use those barrels. And load your save if you did destroy them for some reason. Reload the save, and you'll have an auto save, so it's safe to do it. Because it'll make things a lot fucking easier if you have those barrels intact. They do a lot of damage to the smaller enemies and to the ogre itself. But I'll go more into that. There's no sense in me explaining the strategy for that fight, while this video is still going. So I'll save that for the next. Otherwise, I don't really have anything to talk about for the next video. The next video pretty much only shows that encounter. I don't think there's any other fights that I have in the next video, so, I should have it up soon. I'm waiting for it to upload to YouTube, and then I got to add the commentary. But yeah, very simple fight here. I mean, you've already done this. If you use my strategy for the first one, then you've already fought them like this before. It's the easiest way to deal with them from a distance. Arrows and axe. And thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you enjoy the videos, and I'm going to try to get the next one out within the next hour or so. Hopefully it'll be uploaded by then and I can add the commentary. Thanks again.